Hi friends, Rod here. Let me ask you a question. Have you seen the Netflix series Drive to Survive? Do you want to hear me and Zach record a special podcast talking just about it? Well, you can. All you need to do is go to superlicense.com.au and join the Superlicense Club at the $5 a month level. And you'll hear us talk all about it. Things like this.
It's not really about who's going to win the championship.
It's really like a 30 for 30 season, except every single episode is just about Formula One.
To see Esteban Ocon going through the paces and seeing him with his eyes closed doing the entire track, with just a little steering wheel in front of him, like I felt incredibly close, like probably closer than ever before to a Formula One driver.
That is why you get a filmmaker to make these and not a racer, not a race director, you know?
And we've got two great drivers, but Max Verstappen, he's magic. Oh my God.
All that and many minutes more. All you need to do is go to superlicense.com.au, click on the club link and join the Superlicense Club at the $5 a month level or above, and we will unlock all of the episodes of our special members-only podcast called Drift, including the episode covering Netflix Drive to Survive.
Why don't we have that all the time? Yeah.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Superlicense F1 podcast. My name is Rodney.
And my name is Zachary.
Zachary, how has your week been, my friend?
It's been pretty good. The sun's here, finally. I've been busy, but not too busy. How about yours, mate? How are you?
I've been too busy, sadly.
Yes.
But, I'm hanging in there. I will be fine. Please, I don't want your sympathy, even though I definitely deserve it. Super busy, and just, that's it.
Just it. Just super busy.
That's it.
You know what? I went to Stockholm, my first time in Stockholm, and I went to all these great museums, including the ABBA Museum, and I have had different ABBA songs stuck in my head since then. It's been, a week and a half of Gimme, Gimme, Gimme a Man After Midnight. A man. Money. What else? Dancing Queen.
Dancing Queen.
It's all stuck in my head.
Waterloo.
It's... Waterloo, what a waste of my time. God.
What are you sending me mixed messages? Are you saying you didn't like it?
No, Stockholm was okay. I'm sorry to any of our Swedish listeners.
Well, I don't care. The ABBA Museum, mate. That's all I'm talking about.
The ABBA Museum was okay as well. It was just okay.
Yeah, man. But, you're sounding like you didn't love it. You're sounding like it didn't redefine your whole life.
No, it didn't redefine my... Maybe it's because I grew up with ABBA,
Man.
But no, I wasn't close enough to it. Maybe that was the problem. I think it's for super fans or people who are vaguely aware. I think I'm in the middle. I'm right in the middle.
The thing is, right, I used to be a fan, and then they split up, and then Benny grew a beard. And I was like, dude, Benny, what are you doing? Everybody knows that Bjorn has the beard. So then from then on, fuck ABBA, I'm done. No more.
It's funny because I tell people I went to the ABBA Museum in Stockholm, and some people have gone, "Oh, why is it in Stockholm?" I was like, "Because they're Swedish." They're like, "Huh, really? I thought they were English or American or something."
Nope.
Huh. And I was like, "I'm pretty sure it's their defining quality."
Yeah. Have you seen Anna's hair? She's the most Swedish person ever.
Yeah. If you type in Swede, a picture of her comes up.
Yeah. Essentially, yes. Well, my friend, I'm very glad that you went to the ABBA Museum because obviously, if I was going to go to Stockholm, I would probably go there. But I probably need some drinks first. I don't know. How did you cope?
Well, the thing with places like Sweden, the drinks were expensive. And so you're not doing your usual, weekend escape, have a few beers at lunch, have a few beers after lunch, have a few beers for the rest of the day. It's more like have one, go at the price and go, maybe I'll have one more at some point in this day. But, I don't want to turn this into Snack Watch, snack intro, but I went to a place called the Ardbeg Embassy, which is just like a Diageo pop-up marketing bar thing in the old town. But the reason I went was because I love Ardbeg whiskey, and they had this Ardbeg beer thing that was beer brewed from the distiller's malt and yeast and mash setup that they used for Ardbeg whiskey. So it was a really smoky, portery kind of beer, and it was a very interesting experience. So had one of those that cost me £8, and that was okay, that's $16. So okay, maybe that's enough.
How about that?
Today, and maybe I'd like to have a meal later. So who knows?
We had a rare night out for me recently, where I ended up at this place in Melbourne called the Whiskey Den. It's a little hole in the wall. It just has one of those places with like 500 whiskeys, right? And I said to my friend, look, I don't know the first friggin' thing about whiskeys. You have to pick for me. Tell me what to get. You tell me what you want, and I'll get two. And he goes, get me a koala. And I was like, sorry, what? Huh? He's like, a Koala. I was like, oh man, I thought you said koala. So I went downstairs, I pointed at the menu and said, 2 koalas, please. I think they gave me the right thing, but that's all I know now. My favorite whiskey is called Koala, and I still feel like I don't know anything about whiskey, but anyway. That's about all I've been up to. No visits to other countries, just visits to strange whiskey bars.
I'll have way more whiskey updates on the next show because I'm going to Scotland for my birthday. So,
my goodness, buddy.
Boom.
I love it.
Boom.
Now all we need is for there to be a Scottish Grand Prix so you can be like, I'm going to Scotland and I won't be going to the race.
All right. Well, instead
it's almost like we're
throwing shade at me
because the race was just boring and there's nothing to talk about. Normally during the intro, I have a little Crofty style funny race recappy thing to get us started. But this week, Zach just too sick and just too busy. Just didn't have time.
That's okay. It's fine. I think that.
Nah, just kidding. Buenas noches, desgraciado en el juego, afortunado en enamoras, señor Zach. Move over, Olympic road team time trial cyclists. Formula One's coming to Catalonia, and it's all thanks to our sponsors, the honest, hard-working folks at the Barcelona City Council. Gracias, amigos. With its playful mix of long straights and 16 corners, 9 right-handers and 7 wrong-handers, I can tell you from experience that the corners start coming and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules, and I hit the ground running. Back in 94, Schumacher finished in second place despite driving half the race stuck in 5th gear, which is funny because in 2004 a wheel literally fell off my Ford Falcon while I was driving in the Safeway car park and I had to get towed home. The moral of the story, sometimes cars are just a piece of shit. Oh no, wait, I mean a pedazo de mierda. So don't be shy, grab your castanets and come and dance with the playful crab. Bring some corn chips because it's time to salsa in Spain, baby.
I feel like you did me double by lying and saying you didn't have one, and then pulling out what could be the best one of
the longest one.
Yeah, the longest one with the most effort delivery. Your delivery is getting better every episode. So
literally gave that everything I have, and I'm about to collapse now.
Yeah, I think by the end of the season we should get the run a survey or something with everybody can rank their favorite ones, or just can you cut them all together into one clip? Yeah,
we'll do a compilation and people can vote for their best one. They literally give awards for these things. Can you believe it? Like you make these little videos to promote your podcast, and they give unbelievable. Anyway, not saying I deserve an award or anything. Anyway. The Spanish Grand Prix, Zach. Should we get into the race? Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Let us race a bit. I gave him space. Suck my balls, man. Let's hurry up and get out of here. We got a race to do.
Let us race, man, and race they did. They sure did race. There was a race. You can't deny it.
It happened.
They raced.
It was there.
Yep.
And Rod,
that happened.
We've joked about it in the past, but we might as well make the same joke again. I'm in charge of the 30-second recap this week, and that might be all we need. I'm desperately glancing through the notes, thinking about how to stretch it for 30 seconds. But I think
maybe take some deep pauses, do what I do, and just screw around and make jokes maybe in the middle of it. But yeah. Well, I have my finger on the play button. If you're ready for your sound effects to denote the start and finish time, are you ready for your 30-second challenge?
Yes, sir, I am.
Get ready.
Another one too, can you believe it? For the silver arrows, the beard was not enough for Valtteri Bottas, even though he stormed to pole by 0.6 of a second or something, and just making everybody think that he was just going to get another massive win. But Lewis Hamilton braved them all, got the better of the start, and just went into that first corner going, you know what, it's all mine to dominate, even though there was 3 teams going in all at once, 3 drivers at least. And, well, you know what, the only incident to happen was between 2 drivers that people are still deciding whether they want to know anything about, Lando Norris and Lance Stroll. And here we are.
Here we are indeed. Where are we? You're talking about a race? Is that where
here we are. Here we are with very little to talk about.
Oh boy. Well, that's you did a whole bunch of heavy lifting there, so I guess I better bring something to the table. Yeah, boy. Things look really promising when Bottas took pole. Hey, he's 3rd in a row. That was good. And then Hamilton kind of took the lead, and it just... I mean, the start, literally the first 5 seconds was probably more interesting than the whole rest of the race. The start, I was looking at the replays at the start, and it looked like Hamilton literally moved a lot before Bottas even took off. He had a really slow first phase, but I even thought maybe Hamilton had jumped the lights. Didn't see enough replays, and no one made anything of it, so I went, oh well, whatever. Man, like I said, I've been tired and sick this week, and I need something to whinge about just to keep my blood pumping and to just keep my brain ticking over. And this week it's the BBC qualifying, what would you call it? Qualifying recaps. They put out these little recaps where they talk about, they lead into the race, they do one after qualifying, they do one after the race. So this is Bottas' third qualifying in a row. The first time he took one, they were like, good on Bottas. That's nice. Good on him. Second time they took one, they were like, well, Bottas took pole, but Hamilton was so far behind during practice, he actually did a better lap because he recovered more ground, even though he came second. And I was like, oh, guys, don't do this to yourselves. This week, they're at it again. Hamilton had a bad lap, and this is what they said. Literally 15 drivers from this grid could have been in Bottas's car and still taken pole. And I was like, guys, just let him take... Just if this was Hamilton taking pole by 6/10, there's no way they would say, any one of 15 drivers could have taken pole in that car. So annoying. Just stop it.
No, they can't. It's the Lewis Hamilton show.
Themselves.
If there was literally anything else to talk about, I'm sure they would. But no, really, the more he wins, the better. The more and more the media is just all about him, which is, you know, he deserves the accolades. But
well, I mean,
Bottas
the
has had his number
the BBC does stand for Big British Castle, as I'm led to believe. Pretty sure that's right.
I don't even know what that. What I was going to say is that really, Bottas he's taking it to him on the qualifying side of things, but the race weekend, I think he's still going to. He's got a little bit more. The actual race. He's got a little bit more to go.
Making better starts, but I mean, when Bottas is leading a race and Hamilton's in second, it still feels like Hamilton's challenging. When Hamilton's leading a race, it feels like Bottas has got no answer for him. So, there is that.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, the other thing, why don't we get angry at Ferrari for a little bit? Because it's like they're watching the race like 6 or 7 laps delayed. I don't know. I just really, literally, actually sat there in just absolute fascination this weekend. Because it wasn't just that every single person watching knew they should have switched Leclerc and Vettel earlier. The first time around, we were all sitting there going like, Leclerc's like ready to get past, and it wouldn't be a big deal if he just did it right now. Like they should just make the change. And the DRS was doing a lot and all that kind of stuff, but they should have just made the change right away. And then later, when they were on clearly different strategies, they just let Charles sit in front of Vettel when he was obvious. And it wasn't
so much
just
faster.
That he was so much faster. They were on different tires.
Yeah.
They're on this tire is faster than that tire, and they just let it go on for like 8 laps.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I think Karen Chandok or one of the other Sky commentary team members was just like, it doesn't matter that like he might not even be that like too much faster or change the strategy too much. He's losing a second a lap, and so even you might make gains later or whatever it is, but it's the difference is so much right now that regardless of what you think you're doing for strategy, that's just time you can't make up anywhere else. So just switch them. It was utterly boggling. I'm just mind-boggling. And I have no idea where Ferrari think. Plus, throw in 4.4 second pit stops, which
doesn't help.
Yeah, the same problem on the rear left on both cars. So it's very odd. There was obviously something wrong there, but it just seems like it's not Ferrari can't catch a break. It's Ferrari's doing a bad job.
So I would throw in this into the mix. I agree with everything you said. I'll throw this into the mix. When it's Leclerc behind Vettel and they don't let Leclerc through, everybody on Twitter goes nuts and they're like, they should let Leclerc through. It's obviously faster, blah, 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 blah. When it's Vettel behind Leclerc, they're not quite so quick to say Ferrari should get Vettel through. This is silly, blah, 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 blah. And I just feel like people who want to criticize Ferrari are just denying themselves an amazing opportunity to criticize the team because it's so fun. And why would you limit yourself to doing that only 50% of the time? I know that people feel like Leclerc has been kind of wronged so far. And I feel like there's a little bit of like the narrative is like they owe him something. You know what I mean? But I mean, even when they switched Leclerc and Vettel at the start of the race, Leclerc still fell back by another 3 seconds. And Vettel was just nowhere at that point because he flat spotted his tire at the first corner, which, I mean, it was an interesting ploy by him to do that. It reminded me a bit of when Rosberg did that in Russia, 3-4 years ago, and ruined his race, really. But, I mean, his only chance of splitting the Mercs or even taking the lead was right at the start. And impressively, there was a point where if you ignore the corner for a second, he was actually in front of both the Mercs, which is not bad for a second row start. But having said that, you just still have to make the corner. And, yeah, the whole thing Vettel was just nowhere on the first set of tyres for that reason, was absolutely everywhere in the middle stint. The whole thing just got kind of ruined by the safety car late in the end because everyone could just have a pit stop. So it was like Oprah pit stops for everybody. And yeah, by then though, Verstappen had just slipped through into P3. Verstappen is now on virtual points, third in the championship, as well as taking the podium. He's on his way to steal your podium this race. And it's just not good enough from Ferrari to be in the second fastest car and to be fourth and fifth in the championship.
Yeah, I think we're suffering overall as well, just from a level of consistency. It just feels like we're getting very few problems with the cars. The racing's been very tame. Like everybody got through that first corner. Like they went 3 abreast into the first corner, and everybody else made it through fine. There's appropriate run-off zones. People are going around bollards to make sure they enter the track legally again.
Yes.
There's been very few real problems. I mean, Renault have had some engine problems as well, but that's feels like we know we're at the end of a formula. Like everybody's kind of got it now. And it just so happens the team with the most amount of staff and the most amount of money in Formula One happens to be the fastest, most consistent, unbeatable team right now. Yeah. It's a bit of a vicious cycle, isn't it? Like the further you get into the formula, it's not just stabilized for all the middle teams and the lower end teams. It's stabilized for everybody. And if you've got the capacity to find those tiny 1%, 2%, every weekend and just keep developing right at the, when everybody else is having diminishing returns and you're still finding just that little bit, it counts for so much on weekends like this. So I just can't, commentators curse, something like that, but I just can't see anybody catching Mercedes. But I also can't see Mercedes tripping over themselves because Ferrari's busy tripping over itself too much. So, they just keep handing them wins.
Saw a stat that Mercedes are... obviously they've got 5 1-2 results on the truck, which is, incredible. The whole of last year, Mercedes only had 4 1-2 starts and they've already got 5. And it took Mercedes from the start of the year to the start of the summer break to get 5 wins. They've already got 5 out of 5 wins. It's just seems to be no end in sight for these guys. And they legitimately might get to the halfway point of this year with 1-2s at basically every race. They just look so harmonious. And even when Hamilton doesn't get pole or finish the second, he's just not as tense as he was in the sort of Rosberg era. He's not shaking the boat the way he maybe used to be. They're not even having reliability problems. His problems when he's not winning, they're not because his engine blew up or, some disastrous issue. It's just that Bottas puts it together and Hamilton maybe has a bad day and that's it.
Yeah. So, literally one other thing, strategy slightly changes or, they get caught in traffic at different times. It's all just kind of negligible stuff, which is why they're sharing the wins. And, it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out at Monaco because this could be, I wonder if Ferrari are actually looking at Monaco and going all right, this is the one. If we can't win here, what's even the point? And Max Verstappen will be looking at it going, ooh, all those Daniel Ricciardo wins. Maybe it's Max's turn again this year to really turn it on because if he can hook up qualifying, I don't think it'd be out of stop. Max Verstappen.
I'd be tempted to put, $10 on Verstappen to win in Monaco, except for his form there. Where
he crashes.
He forgets not to drive his car into the walls. There's 2 notable points, I think, to talk about from the race beyond the leaders. And one of them is the incident with Norris and Stroll. The other one is the Haas. So you can flip a coin. Which one of those do you want to talk about?
I flipped the coin and I want to talk about the Lance Stroll and Lando Norris. In my mind, I'm combining their names into Lance Norris or Lando Stroll.
I think someone did that on Twitter. I think someone actually did that.
It's just because they've got their L names and there's just not that many, syllables in their names, whatever it is. I thought it was a little bit sloppy. I think it showed a little bit of inexperience, I suppose, from Norris to scooch up the inside like that and then not really give up the corner when Stroll was pretty far in front, and Norris was never going to get by him into that particular kind of last bit of that battle. And look, it's only a matter of inches. You know, it's not like he fully takes him out. He clips his rear wheel and they both spin, and that's kind of it. I don't think it was too malicious. I think Stroll would be angry about it, but not like he just got driven into the side of. I think it was a good battle that, you know, I wouldn't say it was a racing incident, but it was, you know, there was something in it.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked a bit clumsy from Norris. I think he kept his foot in, going around the outside, maybe hoping that the corner would just come to him, hoping that maybe Stroll would give him a bit more space. But it was a bit, I don't know. I mean, Norris isn't that experienced. Stroll has a couple of years under his belt now, so I don't know. I mean, Norris has been driving pretty well. The McLaren is in a pretty good car, but it just, most of all, I think it was disappointing for him to be involved in an incident that meant that he left with no points. I think he started practice in the gravel, and I think he ended the race in the gravel. So a weekend to forget, and this won't be one of his favourite circuits, that's for sure. Maybe we get into the Haas one then. So this was... you had to remind me a little bit of what happened, but I do remember them racing.
Yeah, I don't think it was covered that well, as well. I kind of had to read stuff. I actually thought that the coverage of... Maybe there just wasn't that much happening in the race. I often feel that way, and then like you watch something like Drive to Survive, and you're like, there was a lot of battle happening in that race down the line or something. We just don't hear anything. You know, you don't hear radio from down, you know, outside of the leaders. There's so much focus on what's happening in the top kind of 5 that you don't really see much of what else is going on. But after the safety car restart, Magnussen got past Grosjean, and they touched on the way through. And then Grosjean kind of went off the track, came back on, and by that stage he kind of lost enough time and lost a bit that he ended up finishing in 10th as opposed to finishing in 7th and 8th, which is where Haas essentially, and Günther Steiner was like, well, damn, you know, that would have been much more points than just having Magnussen in 7th. And then at the end of the race...
would have been 4 more points.
Yeah, exactly. Got on the radio to both drivers and said, Magnussen, come and see me before you see anybody else, and told Grosjean...
Yeah, crazy.
Said to Grosjean, don't worry, mate, I'll sort this out for you, which shows, I think, some insight into, like, got to look after Romain Grosjean's, you know, feelings. Otherwise, he'll fly off the rails and suddenly be having crashes and stuff. Got to make sure he's really well managed. Otherwise, he won't perform very well. So, I like Magnussen's pluckiness. You've said before, Rod, that you think that he's kind of the self-appointed bad boy of Formula One right now. Do you think that Magnussen should be fighting his teammate for 7th? Or do you think they should just come home line astern when there's only essentially 14 laps left?
I don't know the situation. Maybe behind the safety car they were told, don't challenge each other, bring it home in these positions. Maybe he disobeyed. I don't know, but I feel like the call that Magnussen was out of line is maybe a bit far. Kind of a little bit like the Norris-Stroll one. I feel like going around the outside when you're a little bit behind on turn 1 is maybe not the smartest overtaking option. And Grosjean was making a habit of escaping on that corner and having to redefine the boundaries of the corner and go around that bollard every time. So I think he did it 3 or 4 times. So it's just... I think my sympathies align more with Magnussen these days because I just think he's a bit more complete as a driver. So when he goes wheel to wheel with Grosjean and Grosjean comes off second best, I'm like, well, too bad, sunshine. Don't have a lot of sympathy for Grosjean unless he's, you know, 100% in the right, you know. So I don't know what happened behind closed doors. Probably nothing. Probably smack on the wrist for Magnussen, I would guess. We all know that he eats the food in that team. Yeah. And I mean, really Grosjean is the one who needs to start putting in more performances. So let's see him do that. When he does that, then he can be a complaining little bitch.
Yeah, I'd be careful if I was Grosjean because they never know when Haas might find themselves a US driver to stick in that team. Which is the temptation.
Plenty going around.
I'm sure. Exactly. It's how I feel about Hülkenberg at Renault as well. I feel like Esteban Ocon's going to slot into that team at some point.
Tell you who had a really good drive is Daniel Kvyat.
Yeah.
Overtakes and just looked really good. So good. In fact, they were even crediting Alex Albon. They were like, Albon with an amazing overtake. And I'm looking at the driver lineup going, well, Albon's nowhere near Ricciardo, so I don't know what you're talking about. Kvyat just so good. He's overtaking cars and making people think that he's someone else, like it's a stealth overtake.
Maybe that's his trick for sneaking up on drivers. They give him.
That's it.
They're like, oh, this would just be a normal attack. I'll make sure I race respectfully here with Kvyat.
Ricardo has the cutback, and Kvyat is like, who is that? Is that Jaime Alguersuari? And they're like, no, next thing you know, Kvyat's ahead of you.
Yeah, I go entire weeks forgetting that Daniil Kvyat's back in Formula One. So,
same.
Yeah. I mean, good for him, though. Great for him, really. I saw a picture going around of, who did I see in Ferrari gear that was like, Brendan Hartley was in Ferrari gear, I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason. Yeah. Why is that? Do you know anything about this?
There's a test going on, I think, in Spain. After the race. And he might be testing for them. He's a test driver for them, I think.
Just because he has a super license. It must just be that, right?
Could be
every year they look at the list of 40 people who have super licenses and they go, you're testing, you can test. Wait, no, do you have to have a super license to test?
And yet we never get an invite.
Maybe you have to have a super license to race. I don't know. But yeah, we never get invited, which is a real shame. Rod, do you want to tell me if you think that there is something systematically wrong with Formula One right now? Because purely based on the evidence of the fact that we had a safety car with 15 laps to go, Hamilton on the restart got 4 seconds out in front, Bottas did nothing, Verstappen did nothing, Ferraris did nothing, and basically nothing happened in what was essentially a sprint race to the end.
It's what we normally include in our recipe for great races, is a late safety car that bunches up the field. I was telling someone at work today, super exhausted and fell asleep for the last 5 laps of the race, and they were like, oh, you must have been gutted. Aren't they the best laps of the race? I was like, actually, traditionally, that's never the case, but it should have been because of the safety car, and it just wasn't. I think the problem is that, there's lots of problems. There's just too big a difference between the cars at the moment, and there's too much politics going on at Ferrari for anything to happen there. Verstappen was out by himself, a bit of a lone duck, even though we had Pierre Gasly, putting his car in the top 6 where it belongs. To have your teammate up on the podium is not so great, but he was just alone, just with no one to keep him company, no one to hold hands with as he goes down the straight. Mercedes were in position and Bottas couldn't do anything. So, this charge to the line that we usually get after a safety car just wasn't there, other than Haas. So thank goodness for them. Yeah,
thank goodness for Haas, which neither of us would expect to say.
No, never.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about this race? Congratulations to everybody else for finishing. That was good. Thank God for the safety car, because everybody would have finished like 4 laps down, it feels like.
I guess. Yeah. Not a great one. And, the Spanish Grand Prix, man, it seems like the greatest highlights from the race are when drivers crash into each other, or they're like from 3 decades ago. Did you actually see, I make fun of Crofty's little introductions to the races, but there was an actual Croftian introduction to this race where they were like, look at 1991, Nigel Mansell and whoever racing down into corner. Who would forget that? And then there was another one where it was just like from 2 years ago, and it was Vettel chasing down Bottas, and Bottas happened. Locked up, and Vettel closed up on him, and I was like, where's the highlight? There's just nothing there. He just closed the gap because Bottas made a mistake. Like, what the hell?
I know. There's with the talk of Zandvoort coming onto the calendar, just because Max Verstappen races and is from the Netherlands, and so the chat's been, is Spain only on the calendar because of Fernando Alonso? And because of Spanish drivers, and it's like, maybe it is, and
kind of is.
Thank God.
And you might learn something about Zandvoort in the quiz this week.
Well, we're almost.
But before that,
let's go.
We should get into our fantasy segment, which is the fantasy update. In fact, we haven't had a theme this whole year because just haven't. And if anyone wants to make one and send it in, and we'll play it on the show. Why not?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've never done that. That's
great.
Around that. Make a theme.
Why not? Well, this is the engagement section. Get around it.
Yeah, exactly. So, speaking of engagement, great performances this week from Last Name. Mm-hmm. Every time I read that, I'm like, wait, what? Oh, that's the team.
Last name first name last.
And Jacob Toddler Racing. And Just Want to Beat My Bro, because I love that team, man. Don't we all? We all just want to beat our bros.
That's what I live for.
They all scored. They're all like within 1 point of each other. I think it was a good week for predictions around predicting Hamilton for the win.
Then racing.
Yeah, and race winner getting fastest lap as well. It made it nice and easy. But Hawkmoon Racing is still leading overall. And Rod, your favourite team, apart from your own and maybe mine, Trains, is making a big move.
Trains.
Straight to second.
Chugga, chugga, chugga into the station. Express. Straight to the top.
And I thought I'd done well this week, right? I thought I'd jumped up 8 positions, and then I was scrolling through trying to find you. I was like, where is Rod? He was so far behind me. And then boom, there you are. Only 7 points behind me, having jumped 12 positions this week after a stellar performance by your own terms and standards. You must be feeling pretty good.
I do feel very good. Made some more changes to my team, or some more tweaks.
Oh, yeah.
I think I got my driver changes in, and then something happened with my team changes where it was like, sorry, Rod, can't do that. And I was like, well, I'm too lazy to try that again. So, more us than class, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, jump 12 spots, I'll take it.
Definitely. Take it. I'm thinking of getting, I was like, maybe I should dump Ferrari from my team, but then they still finished somewhat in the top 5, so maybe not. I don't know. It's too hard to know. I should just put my...
They do okay, and Mercedes is pretty expensive.
Yeah, and probably getting more expensive by the minute. So maybe not.
Yeah, it's like if you pick Mercedes, then the other teams the budget you have left, you can probably pick like Williams and HRT. Those are your teams.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
HRT. You got Jaguar. They'll give them for 0.5 of a million. Oh, so anyway, I'm looking forward to it's going to be tough making Monaco predictions and changes. So good luck to everybody in fantasy. Thank you for everybody who's involved. And I hope you're enjoying it.
Yep. And if you haven't signed up yet, make a team. Let us know your team name. And if it's funny, we'll read it out on the show. And I'm serious. Send us in a theme. We'll use it as the theme for this show.
Yeah.
Zach, do you want to do a super quiz with me?
Yeah.
Too bad.
We will accept a couple of questions. Should one only win one? Would one want to have won that one in round 1?
Can you repeat the question?
I love that
Zach. Like I said, there's big rumours. In fact, it'll probably be announced in the next day or two that the Dutch Grand Prix is returning to the calendar after... what has it been, 35 years or something? And obviously speculation is that the Spanish Grand Prix is Dunzo and in is the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, which is one of those names that you probably heard, but you maybe don't know that much about. So I thought we might get to know it in a little true or false quiz about Zandvoort. Are you ready, Zach?
I'm ready. Whenever you say Zandvoort, it reminds me of Johnson saying Frankfurt in Peep Show when they shut down JLB. And spoiler alert. And then he gets up on the milk crate and goes, the word out of Frankfurt. And it's like, that's not how you say that, but it sounds like Zandvoort.
I have to go and watch Peep Show now.
You haven't watched Peep Show?
Not a bad thing. No, I have. I have to go rewatch it.
Oh, thank God.
Whew. Boy. Oh, it's getting hot in here. Okay. So Zach, true or false? Well, I will say a statement. Your job is to tell me if it's true or if it is false. The first one. The first official F1 race in Zandvoort was in 1955 and the last one was in 1985. True or false?
True.
Let's go with true. Sure, why not? It's one of those dumb races where there's some they ran an F2 spec in the early 50s. So those, they didn't really count in the 1000, whatever. I don't know. All I know is Wikipedia says the first official race was 55 and the last one was 85. So I'll give you a point. Well done.
Yeah, also, could we give some points to all the people who are keeping all of the stats on Wikipedia? It is an absolutely beautifully well run. All the Formula One stats on Wikipedia are updated really quickly. They're all interlinked. It's great.
It's true. I'll tell you, when you run an F1 podcast, Wikipedia I'd almost consider donating. Almost, but I wouldn't. Okay, so a nice gentle getting into this quiz. We've had one true. Well, I don't want to know what the next one will be, but the statement, Zandvoort, was designed by chairman of the Dutch Auto Racing Club, John Hugenholtz. Zach, is that true or false?
I mean, Hugenholtz could be a real name, but it could definitely be a name that you've made up. So I'm going to say it's false.
The TikTok swing continues. Yes, it is false. So it was actually designed by SCH Sammy Davis. Sammy's in quotes. I don't know why. And I keep wanting to say Sammy Davis Jr. I'll be thinking that when we have the Dutch Grand Prix next year. Turn 3 is named after Hugenholtz, and he was the Dutch Auto Racing president, but he didn't design the track, as is commonly believed. And Sammy Davis actually designed the track based mostly on existing roads, which I love, because you can just take a bunch of roads, join them up, and go, there you go.
Yeah,
I designed the track. Pretty good.
Yeah. How long? You said
just designed a little track for you there.
It's not going to take weeks. It's going to take me 10 minutes.
So, easy. Tilka is bloody wasting time. Okay, next one, Zach. Zandvoort is built upon the foundation of the buildings that were destroyed during World War II. True or false?
Oh, were there that many buildings that were destroyed in World War II in the Netherlands? I suppose there were. I'm going to say that's false.
No, that one's actually true.
Oh, the TikTok
I
continues.
think they were... What were they? They were specific buildings. They just said buildings. I don't think they were houses or anything. I think it was more of an industrial sort of area. But apparently they used the rubble and put down all the rubble, paved over the top, built your ankle.
That's pretty good recycling. I wonder if if the next Tilka track will be like, we took all of the old tires that we're just going to... Like, what happens to the old Pirellis? Do they get recycled?
No, it'll be like, we took all of the promotional iTunes download 3 songs for free cards that no one ever used. And we, that's the foundation for the Vietnam track or something.
Yeah. I see. That's what they should do, stuff like that.
They should.
We should
Actually,
be designing
they should
tracks.
make the track out of those. Yeah, they should make the track out of those cards because they make it worth going.
Don't Tilka tracks always have big colour and stuff as well to show the runoff areas and stuff? So
That's true.
So you can think of all the Apple iTunes cards being used to make the colour of the runoff zones.
So true. Okay, so that one was true. The next question for you, Zach, or the next statement. In the last Dutch Grand Prix in 1985, Niki Lauda beat Alain Prost by just 0.3. True or false?
That sounds like so true that's exactly... I mean, that's a classic Niki Lauda thing to do. Just enough to win.
Embarrassing for you. It's false. It was only won by 0.2, not 0.3.
Of course, Rod.
I thought you knew your F1
0.2.
history. Come on, man.
You know me. I'm an expert around that era as well.
Yeah, I do. All right, that's maybe a little bit unfair. Okay, here's another one. Are you ready? In the late 70s, the track was redesigned and shortened partly due to the construction of a windmill that organisers feared might blow the cars off the track.
Windmills don't blow anybody
Pretty
up.
sure that's how windmills work.
Windmills. They're not fans. That's false.
Yeah, that's false. But the track was moved after noise complaints from a nearby village. Bloody sea changes. Ridiculous.
I mean, that makes sense. Were they complaining maybe that they didn't like the noise of the new F1 cars? So, like, we like the old sound. The new one, they're no good.
Yeah.
They sound like
preferred.
farts.
I guess they still would have been like V8s or something back then. Man, and they still sounded better than now.
Of course
Ridiculous.
they did.
Zach, your next question. If you rearrange the name Zandvoort and drop a few letters, it spells tornado. True or false?
I mean, yeah, if you swap it around and... tornado. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah, true.
It's true. If you drop the Z and the V, which are hard when you're doing anagrams, the only anagram I can come up with for Zandvoort is Vortzand. So,
although,
for what it's worth.
Or it could be like a really good like extrusion fan for your home. So it's like there's the tornadoes with the Z at the end. Tornadoes 5, like the fifth version. Tornado V. Tornadoes V.
I like it. Bonus point for that one.
Thank God.
The last one, Zach. Last question for you in this true or false quiz, all about Zandvoort. I mean, people are going to be experts about Zandvoort now, all thanks to me. Lastly, the website circuitsofthepast.com, where a lot of these trivia facts came from, will now have to remove Zandvoort because it's a current track again.
Oh, yeah. Well,
true or false?
I mean, it's still a track of the past. It's not like ghost tracks. I'm going to say false because their website doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I didn't even write an answer because I just assumed whatever you said, you would realise this was a joke question. So double points. Yes. Well done, Zach. You did it.
Point for fastest answer.
Proud of you, mate. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Zach, that pretty much brings us to the end of the show. I guess we did all we could to eke something out of the race. We covered the fantasy situation and we did a quiz. Do you have any final thoughts?
Have I got any final thoughts? Thoughts. Oh, yeah, nah. This is my final thought. I think that Sebastian Vettel is never going to win a championship at Ferrari, and much like Raikkonen and much like Alonso, he's just going to be known for the early part in his career. And the rest of it, it's kind of junk.
Looks pretty likely, hey. Remember at the start of the year when people were like, yeah, Leclerc for champion this year?
Yeah, that was me. I was one of those people. Oh, dear.
Seemed like a good idea. He may not even win a race.
Yeah.
My final thought for this week, other than the fact that I've just got safety on my mind. I was looking at the history of Zandvoort, and most of it was people that died. So maybe that's part of what's colouring this. But the FIA put out a video which is drivers endorsing road safety, and I thought it would be the drivers talking, but it's just some voiceless narrator talking, and there's moody black and white footage of the drivers doing stuff, like inspect your tires, and there's Lando Norris looking at an F1 tire, that kind of thing. But apparently, every day around the world, 3,500 people lose their lives on the road. So please, everybody listening, please be safe on the roads for me and for all your loved ones.
God, when you say it like that, that's massive.
Isn't it nuts? That's just too many. So please, everybody, be safe. Don't try and be an F1 driver, although it would be cool, but please don't. Take it seriously. Although imagine how fast you could go. No. It's not a laughing matter. Please, everyone, be safe, and let's try and get that number right down. Good on the FIA, I say, for putting out initiatives like that.
Yeah, exactly. Can I have a second final thought? Is that allowed?
Of course.
Hey, you know how we always say that
yes,
all the Formula One drivers live in Monaco, so it's kind of all like a lot of their own home race? Mm-hmm. It's Charles Leclerc's actual home race. Because he's
no more an empty nester. There's a real Monegasque racing next time. How about that?
Exactly.
Formula E was in Monaco this week as well. I wonder if, because there was talk that they could do the whole circuit now, which is like, good on you, Formula E. You can do the whole circuit now. You make it all arrayed around. Oh, it's like the big boys.
We shouldn't joke about it, because in 5 years' time, that's the show we'll be doing, and Formula One won't exist anymore.
You are not wrong. So yeah, the other thing that's coming up, and I think it's after Monaco, if my numbers are correct, is the Indy 500 coming up. Ooh. So all eyes will be on Fernando Alonso trying to win the Triple Crown, having won in Monaco, having won in Le Mans, and now hopefully winning in Indy 500. And he's very close to wrapping up his first WEC Drivers' Championship or Team Championship. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's not too bad for him. His retirement's treating him very well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about how Fernando Alonso there's rumours that he'll be coming back into Formula One once he wins the Indy 500. Mm-hmm. I look forward to it.
Keep your dial locked to 98.9 Super License FM to hear updates about that on the ones. Zach, it's been a pleasure. It's been the highlight of my week so far. I'll see you in Monaco. Your favourite track. I can't believe you're going to Scotland when you could be going to Monaco.
I know. I wish one day I'll go to that Monaco Grand Prix. You know what I'm waiting for, Rod? I'm waiting for a corporate event that I get invited to go, so I don't have to pay anything, and then I could be on a yacht or in a building. Like I'll know that I you know what? I'll know that I've made it. Like, my career in marketing is worthwhile if I get invited to a corporate event. In fact, if anybody listening knows how to get me to a corporate event in Monaco, not this year, obviously. It's too late to get me on a guest list at this point. It's only a couple of weeks away. No. 2020, Zach Priest will be at Monaco as part of a corporate event. There we go.
There you go. I didn't say anything so that we can use that clip for later when you're there, when you're at the track. But, what they really need is Iron Man 4 to just revisit that flight that was at Monaco, and they could just, you can go to the premiere.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly
There you go. It's that easy.
Oh, fine.
Get around it, everybody.
All right.
Well, Zach, we should stop babbling on. It's time for us to go. Until next time, where we cover the Monaco Grand Prix. My name's been Rodney.
And my name's been Zach.
Talk to you later, my friend, and talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah! Thanks, Louis Armstrong.
Louis. Is it
Louis Armstrong? I don't know.
I like that you knew him as Louis.
Yeah, well, his friends call him Louis.